Hello, this is Sondra Oster Baras bringing you a few words of Bible from the heart of Biblical Israel. This week is Shabbat of Passover, and our normal Torah portions are suspended until after the holiday. And instead, we read different portions from the Torah on the Passover holiday. On Shabbat, though, during Passover, we also read the entire book of the Song of Songs. This is read just before the Torah scrolls are opened and read from. Before that, someone gets up in the synagogue and will read the Song of Songs. And the Song of Songs is a beautiful poetry. It's actually quite a sensual poetry. It's love songs, and it's a love song between the beloved man and his beloved woman. And many people have wondered, what is this doing in the Bible? Jewish tradition sees this as an allegory for the love between God and the nation of Israel. The beloved, the male beloved, is God, and the woman beloved is the people of Israel. And the story really is a lot about yearning for each other, seeking each other, missing each other, and coming together and then separating in different ways. And it is an allegory for the relationship, sometimes often tumultuous relationship between God and the nation of Israel, where we come together and then we sin and we separate, and God still seeks us and we seek God, and not always at the same time. And it really is a beautiful poem to read in that context. I'd like to focus just on a few verses here and to see how they're usually interpreted. So in chapter 2, verse 8, we have, "Hark, my beloved." Well, actually, that's what the English says, but I would translate it, "The voice of my beloved is here." He is here. She hears the voice of her beloved, okay? "Leaping over mountains, bounding over hills, my beloved is like a gazelle or like a young stag. There he stands behind our wall, gazing through the window, peering through the lattice. My beloved spoke thus to me, 'Arise, my darling, my fair one, come away, for now the winter is past, the rains are over and gone, the blossoms have appeared in the land, the time of pruning has come, the song of the turtle dove is heard in our land, the green figs form on the fig tree, the vines in blossom give off fragrance. Arise, my darling, my fair one, come away.'" It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. But if you pay attention to the last part of this, when we're having a beautiful description of what is nature in the spring. The winter is gone. The rains are over. This is what spring is like in Israel. It is a time when the trees are blossoming. It is a time when the figs are beginning to form on the trees, where the blossoms on the grapevines are already giving off fragrance. The actual grapes themselves will appear only in midsummer, moving to fall. But at this time of year, in the spring, that is when we're going to see these things. And so clearly, this description of the woman hearing the voice of her beloved and being very excited as he seems to bound over the mountains, coming towards her, peeking in, looking for her during the spring. It's no coincidence that we read this book on the holiday of Passover, because this in many ways describes what happened between God and the nation of Israel on Passover with the Exodus. The nation of Israel is in Egypt. We're, kind of we're behind the lattice. We're behind the window. We're enclosed in this house, and we're looking for a way to come out. And then we hear in the distance, this, our beloved, kind of prancing over the hills. He's coming our way. We hear the sounds of him coming towards us before we see him. What were the sounds? We hear Moses spoke of God speaking to him, and the promises of redemption, and the various plagues, and all these ways that God announces his approach to the nation of Israel, the children of Israel, before he actually arrives and takes them out of Egypt. And when does that happen? Of course, in the spring. And so in many ways, what this is saying is that, yes, even as this beautiful song is talking about the woman hearing her beloved coming towards her. We celebrate on Passover the fact that God came towards us, found us, and of course, that was like an ultimate relationship as he brought us out of Egypt to bind us to him. And of course, the revelation at Sinai would be kind of like the wedding. That is when he brought us to a place where we entered into a covenant with God. And so this reflects, the meaning of this and how it affects Passover. And then, of course, this word dod, the beloved, comes often, and later on we have it showing up again, of course, throughout the thing. But we have this other thing again about the voice of or the sound of our beloved. We see this later on in chapter 5, verse 2. I was asleep, but my heart was wakeful. The voice of my beloved knocks. I hear, and that's what the voice is like. I hear the sound of my beloved knocks. Let me in, my own, my darling, my faultless dove, for my head is drenched with dew, my locks with the damp of night. And then it goes on. So there was a rabbi a number of years ago, Rabbi Soloveitchik, who wrote a beautiful article talking about Zionism and the meaning of Zionism, and he called it Kol Dodiv Dofek, the sound of my beloved knocking. And he referred to it as, what is Zionism? Zionism was that first call of God to the nation of Israel to come home. And it's a call that not everybody heard. In the same way here, she hears him knocking and he's saying, let me in. And it's not clear, does she hear him? Is she going to let him in? Because she says, I was asleep, but my heart was wakeful. You have this sense of she's kind of hearing him in her sleep, and she's not quite sure what she's hearing. And is this, her heart responds, but her brain doesn't respond. And he's calling her to let him in. And this image is so appropriate when we talk about the beginning of Zionism. So many people around the world, Jews, we're waiting for Messiah, we're waiting for redemption, but they didn't necessarily recognize when God knocked. God knocked, and he gave us all these opportunities to come to Israel, and the state of Israel was established, and it's God. It's God coming. It's God coming to us and saying, here, listen, come home. Open the door and come home. The time has come. And, many people were asleep, and many people, unfortunately, are still asleep. But this is, I think, a beautiful metaphor for what God has done for us in our times, knocking on the door, calling us home. Not everyone is hearing it. Some people are still sleeping, but it is a process. Eventually, everybody will wake up. Everybody will hear that knock, and everybody will come home to the land of Israel. Have a wonderful weekend. Shabbat Shalom.
I hope you enjoyed that film. And we have lots more film content and emails and articles that I'm sure you will enjoy as well. Check out our website at CFOIC.com and subscribe to our newsletter. You can do that right from the homepage. I know you will really enjoy the content that will land in your inbox on a regular basis. Hope to see you soon.